up taking two classes that kind of got me interested, and I've been playing games my whole life. And it was kind of after those two classes that I was like, you know what, maybe this is something that I could give a shot at. I'm gonna eat this carrot, and I'm gonna pass it on to Jasmine.
Hi guys, I'm Jasmine. I'm a rising junior at WPI and I study computer science and game dev. So how I got into games was also pretty random. So the summer before my freshman year of college, um, I was watching a K-drama about a CEO of a game dev company who was very rich. And like that's not very realistic, but then I was like, that sounds kind of like fun. And so I tried it out and I ended up switching my major from mechanical engineering to game dev. And I'll pass it on to Jack.
Everyone, my name's Jack. I go to Framingham State University. I'm a rising senior and my major is computer science. I've been into game development my whole life. I started drawing at a young age, and I've been into writing and music and stuff like that for a really long time. I pretty much only got into programming when I was in high school because I basically decided that I wanted to start making my own games, and to do that, I needed to know how to program. So I got started with Game Maker Studio. And I'm only now just kind of getting used to Unity in SIP. It's my first time like really getting hands-on with it. Yeah, so I've been kind of into it for a long time, and I will pass this off to Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam. I am a programmer for the team. I am a rising senior at Clark University. I've been gaming pretty much all my life. And I first took coding classes in high school and realized that I really enjoyed it. I found like it really fit my personality and my style. And I realized that, if I'm going to do coding, if that's what I want to do, then I want to make something with it that I also really enjoy. So it seemed to make sense to me to, combine coding and video games and go into game dev. So I'm really excited to be part of this program. And I think that's it. So I'll pass it on to Lexus.
Hi everyone, I'm Lexus. I am a senior at Becker College. I study interactive media design with a concentration in game art. Let's see. It's kind of, I'll try to like dumb it down a little bit, my story into how I got into it. So right out of high school, I actually joined the military and I was there for 8 years. During that time, I got a business degree just to have it, just to say I had a degree. Didn't really care for business or anything. But my last few, I guess like 6 months in like the military, I had to figure out like what I was going to do. Like, was I going to go to school? What was I going to do? So I, being like a gamer since like I was a kid, I was like, well, I think I want to do game design. And so I signed up for game design and then quickly realized maybe not game design, game art, since I've always been an artist. So yeah, that's how that started. Then Andrew.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew. I'm a rising senior at Northeastern University in Boston, studying computer science and game development. My path into game development was pretty straightforward. Growing up, I played a lot of games like Club Penguin and Roblox. Roblox being kind of like my introduction into game dev. That's where I first had an opportunity to build levels and try scripting stuff, even though I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then I kind of still held on to that curiosity going into high school, where I luckily enough had the opportunity to take some programming courses in high school. Found out that I really enjoyed it and I was pretty good at it. And so coming out of high school, I decided that I wanted to pursue programming and try to steer that into following a career in game development. So that's what I did.
Great.
Cool.
I think that's everyone, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So, so how this program for the live streams are going to work, everyone. If you wish to ask any questions, please just type it in the chat. If you want to PM me, please do. Or if you just want to type in everyone, and I'll give the questions to our lovely presenters while they go about their business and do the different streams. And I know a few of you have already written some questions previously. on our forum. Thank you very much for that. And I'll ask our friends here the questions at some point. So you guys do what you wanted. You guys do you. You wanted to do your art stream today, didn't you?
Yeah. So our team actually has 3 like really incredible artists, and then 2 like not so incredible artists, and then 1 really really bad artist, and that's me.
I'd like to object to that. I am not an artist at all. So I will show off what I can do with this one. But I don't focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure. But we thought it would just be fun if you guys could kind of watch some of our very hyper talented artists go about like drawing some stuff. So we decided to start with Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. If any of you guys are Final Fantasy heads, cheers to you. And so I think Lexus is going to share her screen first.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw the link in if you guys also want to join in and draw this picture. I just threw it in the chat.
Yeah, and then if you guys draw something that you really like and you want to share it with us, just at MassDigi on Twitter and throw the hashtag YourStyle up, and we'll all take a look at it, and we will love you forever if you're into that. So the first what was the first question, Jacob, while we're like setting all of this up and getting our Paint 3D ready for those of us that use Paint 3D?
Sure. So there was a question, what are the struggles when it comes to game development? That is our first question.
Can you guys see, first of all?
I can see it. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
I assume.
So
Okay. Struggles when it comes to game development. Where to begin? You're gonna have a lot of big ideas on what kind of games you want to make. And big ideas are wonderful, but when you're starting out, you really have to start with something small. You've got to take your ideas that you have for your dream game and break them down into something smaller that you can do. So if your game has like RPG mechanics, it's got like roguelike randomly generated levels, it's got like online multiplayer, like each of those parts of that game idea are all really challenging on their own. And so a good thing to do when you're starting out is just like break your game idea down into different parts, and then make individual games for each of those smaller parts so you can practice those skills and have something that you can start and finish and not just get stuck in a loop like trying to make it better and better forever.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to this as well. Everything that Andrew was saying is spot on. When I was in high school, the first game that I actually like tried to make was a full-ass Zelda-style top-down game with like 8 dungeons and bosses and puzzles and everything. And I got about as far as programming walking and attacking and a couple of snakes, and you could open a treasure chest, and that was it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to not do this right now. So the important thing to know is you don't have to not make the ideas that you have. Absolutely write them down and draw and sketch and come back to them later. But yeah, it's pretty much just like think of something that is fun to make that's small and manageable and make that first and just kind of build your way up. There's nothing wrong with taking your time and saving ideas for later.
Yeah, I think to join on to that as well, I think where to start can sometimes be like a little bit of a challenge for me. It was definitely a challenge for me personally because I'm one of those people that like, if I don't feel like I know like everything that I need to know to be able to begin a project, I just don't start the project. And that's really not the way to do it at all. I really do not recommend anyone do it that way, because a lot of the fun, especially in game design, and a lot of the learning comes from just like trying and using whatever skill set you have at this time to do whatever it is that you can, and then build kind of like modularly from there. So, there's nothing wrong with not knowing how to code at all whatsoever. Pick an engine, pick Unity, pick up any free engine, and then just start experimenting and play and see what you can figure out. Watch some tutorials. But the most important thing and the biggest struggle for me personally was just like doing. And it can be really tough if you're like a lot of thinking, which is what I'm like, a lot of thinking before I start doing things. But I definitely recommend just get started, put pedal to the metal, and see where you can take it.
Yeah, for sure. And to be fair, if you do end up just trying to make something big and you're like, oh no, like, you know, I can do it for sure, like try it out, because you'll still learn from that. Like you'll still, you know, me trying to make all of these Zelda style games that I've tried to make, like that's still been experience that has been worth something. It's been worth a lot. So even if you're just doing it, you know, for fun, like, oh, you know, I want to try to make like a dungeon, or I want to try to make a couple enemies or like a boss, like that's going to get you somewhere, and it's going to be good.
Mhm.
Yeah, getting started and then not
Yeah.
stopping are also are really hard parts. But then there's also like there can be a problem of like you abandon projects too often and like you never get far enough to like test yourself. But then there's also the opposite problem of like you stick on a project for too long, like working on small details that like don't improve the overall game, and it's easy to get like stuck on one game that you just keep working on forever, when you could start over fresh on something that like takes parts of that but is something new, and you would get a lot farther just by starting over. So like that's something that you just kind of have to like it's different for each person, and you have to find out what your own development style is. Like, do you like to do lots of small projects over like for each of them like a short period of time, or do you like to have like a big project that you work on for like months and months that you really commit to, and then you know start completely clean on something completely different afterwards? It's something you just have to experiment with and find out what works for you.
So the guy running our program, his name's Monty. He's very good at what he does, and he's very good at keeping us on track. He has a mug on it with his favorite word, which is scope. So that's kind of what this all comes down to, is scope. Like we, just in a few weeks of development, we've constantly been coming up with ideas. We've had thoughts and said, oh, we want to put this in, we want to throw this together. Oh, this game would actually be really cool if we have this. And that might be true, and they might all be things that we get to at some point. But if you start trying to implement everything right away, you're not going to have anything. You have to start at the core. Like think about what the core of your game is. Make it feel good, and then build piece by piece from there. Don't try to make the whole game all at once.
Yeah, and I think it's really easy to get discouraged as well. Sometimes I think that's also kind of a big struggle, and people had kind of mentioned it already. And so I would say, like, don't, you know, be proud of yourself for like the things that you are able to achieve. Like if you were able to, like for me, when I started, like the simple fact that I wrote a line of code, that because I didn't come from a computer science background at all. And my experience was like entirely self-taught and continues to be entirely self-taught. And I have a lot to learn. But when I was first like starting, you know, I was super hyped when I just like got a line of code that worked and didn't give me an error. And like, even if it did absolutely nothing, like if it just didn't give me an error, like I got very excited about it. And it's stuff like that, like, you know, or if you're drawing and, you know, I know absolutely nothing about drawing, as you will soon see. But if you're drawing, you know, even if you're able to get like one eye or one, you know, eyebrow or whatever done that you're proud of and happy with, like don't like laud your praise. Like you deserve the praise that you give yourself, and keeping yourself, you know, like keep praising yourself and helping yourself through the process and stay positive about it.
Sweet.
Yeah, just oh, I'm sorry, did I cut somebody off?
No. Go ahead, Jack.
I was going to say, just in case there's anybody in here who is thinking about getting into programming who hasn't yet, it can be really scary. It can look scary. Take it from me, I never thought that I would enjoy programming. When I was in my junior year, I think that's when I started. and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to just learn how to do this because like I want to make a game, and I never thought that that's what I was gonna want to do. I was like, I'm gonna, I want to be a concept artist, or I want to make music or whatever. And so it is scary getting into code, but there are a lot of great tutorial channels out there that make it really easy, and once you start, it's a blast. Like it's not as awful as you might be worried that it is once you get into it.
Nice. So can our amazing artist please explain what's happening right now and what you're thinking while you're drawing?
What am I thinking? That is a good question. I'm just kind of doing my own thing. Like I guess this is kind of like one of my styles. Like I do a lot of like sketchiness. I not too like a huge fan of like perfect line art because I don't know, my hand just loves to sketch. So it doesn't just want to like do something like that. It just wants to do that. So yeah. And I am just doing like a bust shot because he's got too much stuff going on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm keeping it like to his upper torso pretty much.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, I did a whole body thing.
That's perfectly
Damn.
Cool, guys,
fine.
it's cool, it's fine. I'm not flexing or anything. I'm just saying.
He's got some lovely lumpy legs right now.
Hell yeah.
That's great.
All right.
Does anybody else want to start sharing or?
I can start sharing.
Okay, how do I stop?
There should be a stop button at the top, and it should go to Jasmine if she starts.
Do we have another question that we can?
Oh,
work
yes,
on,
of course. I just wanted to see if artists have any feedback or anything or explain their process.
That's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So actually, we have a question from Madeline. What is the best way to avoid getting overwhelmed so quickly?
Oh, word.
Always start with what you think like the core of what your game is. It's like there's all these like things you can add on to your games, like shops, like power-ups, like different skins, I don't know. But like always just start with what you think is like the most important fundamental mechanic for the game. And that also just gets you thinking a little bit smaller than you would be otherwise.
I think also when it comes to like starting, wow, my drawing is so bad. Okay. Or when it comes to like getting, overwhelmed, like there's a lot of parts that go into game development. Like there are very, very few like one man or a woman armies that take on every aspect of game development. And that's for a reason, because like every aspect of game development is really hard and requires a lot of work. And so if you're trying to learn, and that fact, like the fact that there's so many different parts of it that go in, like can be very discouraging, I imagine, and it can also be very overwhelming. But like start with the things that you want to learn and sacrifice on the other things. Like for me, none of the games that I've ever made personally have had good art. Because I can't draw, but that's also because I don't necessarily want to build that part of the skill set. And there's nothing wrong with getting, art assets or asking a friend to draw something for you to use, or, if you want to be a game artist, there's nothing wrong with asking, a friend to program whatever basic situation you want going on for the art that you're making. Like breaking it down and focusing on the aspects of the process that are more interesting to you at any given time can definitely help when it comes to not feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, I would say just like break it. Just break. If you're running into a problem where you feel overwhelmed because there's too many parts of the game that you know that you want to make and you don't know where to start, just like really literally just like make a list of all the different parts that your game needs, and then just pick one and give yourself some sort of time frame that you want to do it in. Because like having a deadline for things is like the number one best way to make sure that they actually get done. Like it's incredible how much your brain actually relies on like having a deadline for stuff. Just doing that will help you at least get one part done. And once you get one thing done, it's really easy to just say, okay, well, I got that done. Now I just got to do this other thing. And you get into a rhythm where you can just keep going and going.
I would say if you get the opportunity, try a game jam. They don't last very long. They're very. I've done a few game jams in my time, and every time, or both times, I guess there was only two, but both times it was really just you don't have time to feel overwhelmed. You don't have time to really think about what's coming next or the whole picture. You kind of just have to take what you got and just keep going as much as possible, and it really forces you to like put pen to paper or put fingers to keyboard or whatever, and like start working and really just think about like, what am I doing now? What am I doing now? What am I doing now? And just keep doing what you're doing now. And it helps with that. Like, I'm not a best wordsmith, but you know, but yeah, put yourself in the situation where either do something really simple, do something like a game jam where you kind of like you have to go at it. You don't have time to sit and think. If you're working on a project by yourself, borrow profusely from the asset store. Like you don't need to do level design. You don't need to I mean, like, what is it? There's one asset on Unity that one of my teammates here told me about. I think it was Andrew, called DoTween, and that just really like coding, like moving things from place to place. It takes care of so much of that. It makes things look so much better, and it's so easy to use. Like, don't feel like you need to code your entire game, everything from scratch. Like, use whatever you can. Like, find snippets, find like assets, like make it as easy for yourself as possible, like when you're going into it, and like learn, because that's what's going to let you like focus on the skills that you need to learn without like having to reinvent the wheel.
I second game jams also because they're a great way to teach, like, or to force you into like scoping down things, which, like Andrew said, is like a huge, and actually like everybody said, is like a huge limiting factor, I think, or yeah. So I think doing a game jam, and you can find, for anyone that doesn't know, a game jam is basically where you have a set amount of time to create a game, and a lot of them are hosted on itch.io, which is a really great resource for any aspiring indie game developers. I will put it in the chat.
I got
really
it
quickly.
I got it, don't worry.
Oh, word. Thank you. So they have a little tab called Game Jams, and they also just have they have assets. They have games by other indie developers that you can try. All sorts of stuff. And you'll see if you play any game that's in a game jam, like there's a lot that there isn't happening in those games, but there's a lot, like the one thing that they are doing, they're doing very, very well. And so it's a great way to teach, like, being pointed and specific and limited in your scope to help you actually achieve the end of whatever project that you're going for. So I definitely second that.
Yeah, game jams are like the best way to get started, because like usually they'll have a theme that like makes you think of ideas that you wouldn't think of otherwise. They give you a good hard deadline to like keep your focus small and make sure that you actually have something done to show by the end of it. And they're a wonderful way to meet people, because like JD said, like you probably don't have all the skills to be able to do all the parts of a single game. That's just like, you have to be like an inhuman being to be able to actually do all the parts for a game. So great game jams are a great way to meet people who can do the parts that you aren't so good at. And like when you finish up working on a game jam project with people, there's no reason that you can't like meet up with those people afterwards and like work on an individual project together with them. like on your own free time. Like it's a great way to do that.
So speaking about your game jams, did any of you guys have like a really stupid game jam that ended up going bad, or were you just a bunch of fun? Like any funny stories from your game jams? Anything? Because I know it's sometimes it could be a day to a week. I know when I did my first, I made it looked terrible, but it was so funny that it was that bad. I guess. Do you have any funny stories or anything?
Well, for me, like the first game jam that I ever took part in was for what's called a Pico 8, a fantasy console. And Pico 8 again is another resource that any people might be interested in looking at. It's essentially like a stripped, very, 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 very down game engine, so that you have like very few things that you can do in the attempt to like give you the creativity out of constraint, essentially, which made it a really great place for me personally to start like on my journey for learning. But basically, I just ran into the problem where like I can't, like I've said, I can't draw at all. And that ended up actually influencing my design a lot, because the only thing that I could really draw was like a tree and a box. So my game ended up being about like a box climbing a tree to eat coconuts, because coconut is just a box with 3 dots in the box. So like absolutely absurd, like a ridiculous premise, like made absolutely no sense. But I learned a lot, and it was a really bad game, but I learned a lot. And yeah, so don't be afraid to do crazy things. Find the beauty in constraint and stuff like that, and just keep going, keep cruising.
So in a way, you turned your your weakness into, in a way, a strength in a different strange way.
Yeah,
more or less. So
that's a nice way of saying it. Sure.
yeah, sure. Or you stunk so bad that you're good, in a way.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I guess we'll go to our next question. Sadly, Zaria is not here, but I liked her question anyways, because I know we have a few programmer or students that are programmers that are in here. What is the main coding language that high quality studios use to develop their games?
So most like big name studios will probably be using C++. They'll either be using like their own proprietary game engine, or maybe they'll be using something like Unreal Engine, which uses C++. Like runner up to that would probably be C#. That's the language that Unity uses, as well as I'm sure some other game engines. Both of them, like I wouldn't recommend starting with C++ as your first programming language if you're looking to get into coding. C# is an okay language to start out on, but I'd really recommend starting with Java if you haven't done any programming before. It's really easy to pick up. There are limitless resources online to get started with programming on Java. It's like the tutorial language. And luckily, like if you learn Java, C# is extremely similar to it, so it's really easy to make the jump over.
Yep. Also, Jack, do you wanna hop on the screen so we can see what you're up to?
Yeah, sure.
Word.
So, this is my own personal question because I don't know that much about coding. So, if you don't mind answering this one from me, what about Python? How's that for a first language? Have you dabbled in Python at all?
I have done very little Python. Python is like a, from what I hear, it's like a fairly easy language to pick up. In terms of application for game development, I wouldn't really recommend using Python for game development unless there is a really handy tool out there. If you're interested in making a visual novel, there's a tool called RenPy,
Yeah, I was gonna say
which
that.
basically
Yeah.
like handles all of the programming related stuff that you need to do to make a visual novel, and just lets you be able to like write the story and put in characters and have them do what you want. But other than that, I haven't really seen much application of Python in game development. But if anybody else has, like, feel free to chime in.
Kind of an aside to that point. for anyone also that like maybe like I came in wanting to be a writer primarily in games, and so that kind of influenced the way that I started learning how to make games. And so there's a really great tool also called Twine, which I'm not sure if people have heard of that before, but I'll drop a link in the chat as well. Or Jacob, if you wouldn't mind dropping a link in the
Sure.
chat.
Was it Twine?
Yeah, twinery.org. And basically, it's an interactive fiction engine. And so you just write a story, and then it gives you all of the tools to be able to make that story interactive. And so that's really where I personally got started, like even considering how to use a computer, like to make games, because I, again, like had very, very little knowledge of coding going into game dev. And so that really opened the door for me and taught me initially a lot about like making relationships, like what is an if statement, like what are, you know what I mean, like what do these things mean that are like super fundamental elements of programming that is in a very much of a less intimidating environment. So for any aspiring writers out there, definitely check out Twine, because it's a great place to get started and teach you a lot of the very basics before you move on to other stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah, I will say Python is a good language to learn. Python was the first programming language that I learned. And it's a very good first language to learn because it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't need a lot of the overhead that some other languages do. The reason I would say it's not great for, in general, computer programming is because of, it's not an object-oriented language, which for anyone who doesn't know, an object-oriented language lets you basically create a, your own like code with like a specific kind of object, and then add like parameters to it. The idea that I like to go with is like you can make a car object, and you can add like like wheel size. You can add a miles per hour like variable. You can add like amount of gas variable, and then you can make like functions that you can call, like so like drive, and then you can like make a car. Like you can really easily just say like make a new car, do car.drive. And like for game development, that's really good because like if you're making a card game, you can make a card object and have it do all these things. You can make a deck object and have it make a bunch of cards really easily. That's something that we're looking at as a team right now. So like being able to do that with that sort of language is very useful. Python, you can't really do that. It's more sort of line by line scripting. So it's a little harder to like make a game object like you would in C# or Java or something like that.
Sweet. I have another question here. They want to know which is the best game engine to potentially start on. Out of of these 5 that they listed here: Unity, Unreal, Game Maker, Stencil, and Lumberyard. I believe
People debate this forever, but go ahead. Somebody else start.
So just for those that don't know, I'm sure artists or others don't know, Lumberyard is actually Amazon's game maker.
Heard of it.
I only heard about it very briefly, so I don't know much about it. But it has Twitch integration, from what I know.
So I would say this mostly depends on what your focus is, but if you're starting as a game programmer, I would definitely go with Unity, just because it's the closest to just like other programming, and you're able to really easily be able to have something working really quickly, as opposed to like in Unreal where you have to learn a lot in order to get something pretty simple functioning. Game Maker is similar, I would say, in terms of learnability, but I do think Unity is just a better engine in general, which is why I think it's good to start off with.
Sorry to be, I guess, critical here, but why is Unity better? Is it because does it look nicer? Is it more friendly? Is it like in your personal opinion, what makes it better?
So I have used Unity a little more than GameMaker now, but I did start with GameMaker, and what I found is that Unity just makes it easier to do like more advanced things, and also Unity does have the ability to go 3D, which I'm pretty sure you can't do in GameMaker. So when I started like in GameMaker, I remember I've made like a platformer, and in order to get all the colliders, like I had slopes and stuff. I know that Unity like has built-in gravity and stuff like that, and I had to code that myself in GameMaker.
Mm-hmm.
But just things like that.
I would second Unity. I mean, again, I would preface it by saying again, like there are even more basic tools like to learn. If people like if Unity in and of itself is like a scary, engine to first jump into. Like again, I would definitely recommend for those of us that are maybe not necessarily as interested in the coding, but more so in design or storytelling, Twine. Or if you really want to start somewhere like really, really small, Pico 8 or other fantasy consoles. But I think the main advantage that Unity has, especially over Unreal, is that Unity is like a 2D engine with the capacity to do 3D. And Unreal has kind of like dropped, to my understanding, a lot of the ability to do 2D. Or it's not quite as like it's not its focus necessarily.
Yeah.
And so, and I would not recommend starting your game dev journey on 3D. I tried to do that, and boy, did I get confused and sad very quickly. And so, like, I mean, it depends, it depends. But like for me, it wasn't the thing. But I think Unity gives you more opportunity to do both. Also, Unity is just a cool tool in general. Like I used it for like sound art installations, and it's a very well used tool like in just new media art in general. Like Arduino cross integration, like stuff like that. Like you can go very far with Unity in a lot of different directions. And so if you find out that like, oh, maybe game dev isn't really something that I'm super into, but I really like the idea of being able to make like an interactive, museum installation or something like that. Like Unity powers a lot of those as well. So there's a lot of resources for that too. I was just saying that abroad. That's why I have that knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Speaking about 3D, we have a question. Let's see. Where did I put it? There it is. So I already know 2D art, but I lost it again. I already know 2D art, but I wanted to start learning 3D. What should I start with? Maya, Blender, etc.
You can start with either Maya or Blender. It doesn't really matter. I think Maya is more industry standard, although I do know that there are some game dev studios that also use Blender. But I think once you have the skills in one, it's easier to just like transfer your skills over to another 3D software, so it doesn't matter. If you do start in Maya, that's where I started. There's like a lot of tutorials online on YouTube that just get you like going with that. And then once you like know the basics of it, so like just modeling things like boxes, chairs, tables, the more advanced things you can kind of just build on your old knowledge. So yeah, I would say start with mine.
For me, I would actually say, even though I don't really use it, I would say start with Blender just because like it's more accessible. Like not too sure like how accessible it would be for like you guys like at this moment. But I mean, maybe you can get it, but I'd say start with Blender, and then your school would probably teach Maya, but it's just my opinion.
Yeah. Chiming in as somebody who is a programmer and doesn't really do art, generally speaking, like I tried picking up Blender like last summer, and I found it pretty easy to learn after watching some YouTube videos. Just make sure you have a keyboard with a numpad and you're good to go. Otherwise, otherwise the tutorials will give you a bunch of shortcuts that you don't know how to use.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty straightforward to pick up, and like even if you're not somebody who's an artist or really wants to like pursue that path, like if you just want some basic assets to put in like a little 3D prototype that you're doing, Blender's great for that.
Gotcha. For those that just joined in, welcome first and foremost. Feel free to type anything in chat as a question. The question they just answered was someone was looking to go from 2D to 3D, and they were asking which they should use, either Maya or Blender, or what's the difference. Yeah, that's what that was. And I lost my question sheet. Where'd it go? Oh, here's a good one. What's the common ideation process? What comes first? AKA, what's more comfortable, writing or drawing out an idea?
So when I come up with an idea, I pretty much just do both. So it pretty much just depends on what your preferred method of brainstorming is. Some things are more easily explained to other people through drawings. But yeah, it kind of just depends on what method you like best. Definitely write everything down. Even if you think of something and you're like, oh, I don't know how I would make that work, or I don't know how that would fit in, put it down, because you might end up coming back to it later.
Yeah, we kind of went through the gamut of design and ideation for the past couple of weeks. And so it's actually a pretty apt question for where we personally are at, like with our project for the summer right now. Brainstorming a lot and brainstorming often and being willing to toss ideas out is, I think, probably the biggest thing that I could recommend when it comes to ideation. Like the two game ideas that we're working on right now that we're choosing between are a card game, an RPG like battler based on a card game, and a mech robot fighting / rhythm game. And we can talk more about both of those if people are interested. I just gave like not even the pitch for either of them. So, but if people are interested, we could totally talk more about what we're up to. But both of those, the point being that both of those ideas, neither of them were where we started at the beginning of the semester or summer, like whatsoever. Like we were not even remotely close to either of the two ideas that we ended up pursuing as far as we have. And so I would definitely recommend, and like honestly, Lexus had the prescience to be like, guys, we need to cut things. Like we need to like move on, and we need to like do, and that was like a super useful opinion and perspective to have, because we kept holding on to things that may have held us back ultimately in like ideating. So I would definitely recommend, think a lot, go crazy, write things down, draw it out, whatever works most usefully to you. Take your time in the design process. No, don't be afraid to just lose things that don't work or that you don't like. Yeah.
Nice. Who's currently drawing on stream right now?
I think it's still me.
Still you? Okay. So can you just quickly, what's going through your head right now? I see that you're doing some kind of holes or.
Yeah, so those are the holes in his shoulder pads. I'm kind of just going back through and adding some of the detail to his clothes. His jacket is pretty complicated. His like collar is really messing me up, so I don't really know if I've got it right. Maybe it'll look better once I add some color. But yeah, so what I did was I have this set up in layers. I'm using Clip Studio Paint, if anybody is familiar with that, or if you want to get into digital drawing and you're looking for good software to use, this one is pretty widely used, and it's great. I've been using it for years and I really love it. But anyway, yeah, so I've got my layers set up here, and what I've got underneath this guy is just my base sketch, the humanoid sketch that I started with, which I actually got from this base sketch, which I just took from the internet. something that I didn't really understand as well as I do now when I was in high school is that like using references is really, really crucial. And all professionals do it. There's nothing wrong with looking at something, tracing the base of something. There's nothing wrong with that stuff. I do it all the time. I think every professional artist would say the same. So I started with this just to get like an idea of what pose I wanted. And anatomy is something that I still struggle with a lot. So I didn't want to take any chances on sketching it out myself. So I drew that from that picture that I had. And then I've got his, kind of looks funny with the layers turned off, but I have his hair on a separate layer just so that in case I messed up stuff with the hair, I could touch that up separately. I'll probably just combine these two now though, because I'm pretty much done with the hair. So, but yeah, I'm gonna just kind of move through this and get his clothing done, and then add some of the finer details. Like he's got like some stuff going on his belt that we're gonna add in. Some of these little loopy things, and yeah, and then I'll if we have time, I'll add some color and see how that comes out.
I think we'll definitely check back in with you. Why don't we try putting another person up there? JD, how about you?
Oh, is it my turn?
I think it's either
Are
your
you
turn
sure?
or it's your turn or Sam's turn. You know, we have so many good artists. We need to see what us can do.
All right.
I guess I'm not making something yet. I don't know if I'm kind of going back and forth between questions. But.
So this is what we got going on here. So if you see here, the approach I took was clicking the brush button, and then I just kind of started going for it. I drew the sword first, and then the body, which I wouldn't do if I were to do this again. Yeah, scary bad guy. Ooh, yeah, that's probably the most important part of the whole piece. I don't think it really would be complete without that. But yeah, if you see the no neck was an artistic choice.
He's been working out. He's just all traps.
Yeah, he's all traps. He's been working out. His shoulder pads don't really work, and one arm is much larger than the other.
That's just perspective.
It's perspective, exactly. So, yeah, follow your dreams, kids.
Follow your dreams, kids.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Don't let them be dreams.
I will go ahead and share mine now.
You want to share yours, or you want me to share my little thing I put together? Not even fast.
I would be happy to share mine because I actually followed Jack's advice and used a reference image. So here we have this beauty.
That's beautiful, really.
This is probably the best thing I've ever drawn in my life. Technically speaking, it has limbs that aren't sticks, which is a new thing for me. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I'm totally not an artist. I don't think I'm good at art. This was still fun to do. I just kind of messing around, joking around. I'm not going to complain with how it came out. I'm also not going to compare myself to the actual artists on the team. Never do that. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Not even just like, if you're a programmer, don't compare your bad art to artists. Don't compare your code to other people's code. Compare your code to your own code. Say, like, focus on how much you've learned, how much you've grown, compare yourself to yourself in the past. Like, don't try to compare your code to like some professional AAA developed game with really strict standards and people who've been making games for 20 years. Nobody's going to be at the same level. And a lot of the time, things that you think are you can look at someone else's code and think, oh my God, or someone else's art and think they're so much better than me. Like, they've got this down so much better than me. a lot of the time, like, it doesn't really matter, or it doesn't really like. It's not really always an issue of like so and so is better. It's really just an issue of like does your art or your code do what you want it to do? Does it make people feel the way you want it to feel? Like if it does, then like it's not bad, and I can't preach to anybody about art. But if you write code, at least if you're a coder and you see someone else has like a wildly different coding style, you don't have to think that like they must know so much more about it than you. They've got it really, they've got it down. They understand something that you don't, because like everyone has a different coding style. Like we have a like 10-page document telling us how we should format our code and exactly how we should do it. Because if we didn't, like all our code would look super different. And none of it would be bad or wrong. It would just be our own styles. So that's my pep talk. I'm gonna stop sharing this monstrosity.
I guess it's only fair for me to show whatever my thing, right?
Sure.
Go for it.
I don't know if it's even showing on screen right now. But yeah, I personally am a fan of
It's
pixel
cute.
art.
I'm with it.
So that's what I can do with a few minutes and stuff, I guess. I definitely enjoy this type of art more than drawing, because with this, it's more of individual small placements, and you can make something bad look good. At least that's how I like to look at it. Because I'm not the best, but but with art and everything else, it's kind of your own style. And your style changed everything, much like how Sam was talking about it. It's not really, don't compare yourself to others, because what you can personally do is much different than what someone else can do. I can't make huge pixel art. I can only make small stuff, and even that's not great by my own standards, but that's why you can improve and get better, I think. Woo, inspiration.
Andrew, where are you at? Let's see it, Andrew.
Oh yeah, Andrew.
Let's see it, Andrew.
I'm on draft number 3 right now.
Draft 3.
Draft
Oh my
3.
god. I was on draft 0.
I wonder if anyone.
All right.
I wonder if anyone
So-
in the chat is making anything. I haven't seen anyone talking in here. So
I've got draft
Scary.
1 where I pretty much just tried to trace it, and dear God, is it horrifying. This is like, this is something you go back and you're looking through like your elementary school binder, and you find something that you drew when you dozed off during math class or something. That's him. And then this was my I did this. I wanted to
He did
challenge
it in my
myself.
style.
I wanted to challenge myself to see how much Sephiroth I could do in like 30 seconds. So this is 30-second Sephiroth. And then right now I'm working on a Minecraft Steve iteration.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, he's gonna be nice and blocky. Like Steve's do.
Mm-hmm.
To be
supposedly.
fair, how many of you guys are working with a mouse right now? Okay,
All
so
the
yeah.
people who are bad.
Yeah. Speaking of that, do you think if you're an artist, do you think getting a drawing pen or drawing tablet, or I don't know, whatever you use, is that better, worse?
Absolutely better.
Yeah, a lot of, especially if you're going to be working professionally, yeah, like pretty much everything that you're going to be doing is going to be digital. So I have a Wacom tablet. I got it like 100 years ago, and it still works fine, and they're pretty fairly priced. So yeah, if you're looking to get into that that style, yeah, that they make good stuff.
Gotcha. I think we've tortured them enough with our drawings. I think we should put Lexi's back
I'll
up.
tear this. I'll tear your eyes away from this beast.
Okay, me again. Okay.
I think they deserve at least something better than what the four of us can do. Me, Andrew, JD, and Sam. Though I think ours aren't bad by our standards.
They're
Ooh.
unique.
You definitely need. Wow, that's come along.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not really sure how much more I want to do with it. Like, I mean, a lot more can be done, but
Mhm.
this is one of my like kind of sketchy, lazy styles. So I might just leave it like this, or maybe keep going with like the hair.
I'm also basically done because I did it in a sketch.
Yeah,
lazy
it's been an
style.
hour. Maybe we
It's
should
been an hour.
move on to another
Oh,
I think so.
inspiration.
We've all kind of presented our own little fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess we could see Jasmine's and Jack's once again. I think we're gonna be all good.
yeah.
Ooh.
Fine.
Oh, we have a question from.
Whoa,
Ooh. Wow,
Lovely.
Ooh.
awesome.
That's sick. I really like that.
that's really good. We have a question from Madeline. Is there any class in high school that can be helpful towards game design in college that you are aware of?
I had a game design class, but it sure wasn't helpful. No, I mean to be fair, the class that I had actually it introduced me so it was a weird like thing looking back on it. We had this class that was taught by a woman who claimed that she used to like work on like missiles for the military, and she was like, yeah, now I'm going to teach you guys game maker. So we were like, word, like that's sick. So that was the entire reason I started with game maker, and still use it today, was just because at the time that I got into actually programming, that was the software that I like had heard of, that I knew about. So GameMaker, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it has this feature where you can like drag and drop blocks of pre-made code to be able to like kind of build things, which is really good for beginners to kind of teach logic. So her class had us doing it that way. Her class didn't teach us any actual programming, but I think it was still a good primer for like how basic game design works. So yeah, if your school, and most high schools don't even have anything like that. So if your school does have something that is related to game design at all, at this point it's probably come a long way. There's probably stuff better than what I had when I was there. So I would definitely take advantage of it. It might be like goofy and weird, but it'll at least be something. And especially for schools, for colleges, when you're applying, and for professors that you're going to have down the road, you can tell them that like you did that was a thing that you did in high school.
Yeah, I think also like, I mean, I don't want to speak for the programmers, but I imagine any sort of exposure that you can get to code as early as possible would probably be useful. I'm
For
sure,
sure.
yeah, talk more about that. But from like a design perspective, like game design is a pretty nebulous concept. And the more you try to like find out things about it, like the more you'll come to understand that like game design is like a nebulous concept. And so the piece of advice that I would give from a game design perspective is that Shigeru Miyamoto, who for those who don't know, is a big big boy in the games
He's our
industry,
Lord and Savior.
our Lord and Savior, like lead designer behind Mario, and
Zelda.
other Nintendo IPs, Zelda. He often spoke about how he drew his inspiration from his childhood and like things that he just did as a kid. Like Mario was like that whole like idea apparently like spawned from him going outside and like watching frogs jump around or something to that effect. Do you know what I mean? And so like from that perspective, like I would recommend like just have life experiences, like go out, do things, meet people to the best of everyone's ability. Do you know what I mean? Like try new things, see as many interesting things and places as you can, and keep notes on like the things that you do. Keep a design journal, like any cool ideas that come to mind. Like I have one somewhere. Oh, it's right here. Um, but like just notes and ideas that come to mind, things that inspire you and whatnot. But I think it's really easy, especially in games, to like be like, okay, I need to like sit down today and spend 8 hours in front of my computer learning how to code, and like that's all very important for sure, or learning how to draw, and that's all very important for sure. But like I think, and a lot of big game designers would probably agree that just having life experience is probably the number one thing that would be the most useful. for you. Like honestly, I've probably pulled more from my political science degree for game design than I have from my media degree for game design, just because it inspires me to think. You know what I mean? But that's just me. That's my experience. But definitely have life experiences in general. Those are, you'd be surprised what will inspire you if you just go out and do shit.
By the way, I just want to put this out there. We only came into this with one idea for something to draw. So if anyone here watching this has an idea for something that they would like us to draw or attempt to draw, and they would like to draw with us, throw it in the chat, and we will happily give it a shot.
Yeah,
I'm down with
if you have like a original character or something that like you want us to draw in your or our style, like that'd be cool too.
That'd be really cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you guys want to do, just put in the chat. Also, if you wish to ask a question, you don't just write in there in a personal message to me that you don't want your name called, and I won't call it out. I forgot to announce it earlier. I know maybe a few of you might be shy to talk, and that's perfectly understandable. We are, I guess, very scary college students. But no,
Also,
jokes
there
aside.
are absolutely no dumb questions whatsoever. This is
Yes.
something that, like, I asked Sam like yesterday what a variable is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are like what was happening. Like, there are absolutely no dumb questions. Like, and if you have a question, like, chances are 10 other people have that question. And also, if you ask a question, then probably 10 other people would be inspired to also ask a question. So hopefully we're not too scary, college people, but we're here for you guys. So any questions you guys have, let us know.
I mean, speaking of strange things that happen being a designer, I was talking to Owen Leach, who is, I think, one of the lead designers on Elder Scrolls Online the other day. He will actually be doing his own talking segment with other producers later down in some of our other live streams. He was talking to me about how much of bats he now knows. You know, bats, like little black things that fly around and stuff. Because in the game, there's a lot of animals and things that they have to keep track of, and they have to kind of feed off their instincts and how they act in the wild. They have to do tons and tons of research about it. And he told me that bats have to actually hang upside down because they're too heavy to take off in flight from the ground. So that's why they're upside down, so they can actually fly. So yeah, just random things. Yes.
It's actually sick. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it really is.
That's so cool.
So literally there is no dumb questions you can ask, and anything you've ever taken from life experience can be made into a game. And that's what makes this industry such a cool thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Going into my personal life, I am a former nationally ranked skier, and I can take all my skiing experience from then and throw it into a game. I made a stupid game way back when. I don't even have on my computer anymore about skiing, and my friends liked it and they laughed at me because it was terrible, but it was a fun experience.
Jacob, have we got a story for you?
Yeah, I was about to say, Jack and I are laughing for the same reason.
Brainstorming ideas for the skiing game, and it got shut down.
So, can you hold that thought for a second? We have someone that Olivia put in a character that they designed a bit ago. Oh, I'm sorry, Olivia, I didn't read that far.
Not
I'm
Olivia.
sorry.
It was not anybody.
It was not. It was me.
It
It was my fault. Yeah. So sorry. So yeah, Jack, go. Talk about your thing.
Oh, no, yeah, so it's just funny. One of our first ideas when we were thinking of concepts was, have you played or heard of Downwell, the like mobile game where you have like gun boots?
What happened? I'm sorry.
I said, have you heard of Downwell, the mobile game?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I can still explain it. So yeah, we basically, I don't really remember what kickstarted the idea. I don't know who said what, but we had an idea for like a game where you were skiing down a mountain like infinitely, like an infinite runner.
Yeah.
But that you had a gun or some sort of gun attachment that you would use to like propel yourself, like to either like shoot behind yourself to go faster or shoot at the ground to jump up. And like the more I thought about it, I was like, I feel like we can make this work. Like I feel like this is like a bomb idea. And we told Monty about it. He was like, I hate that skiing game. Like you guys need to like check yourself right now. Like this is awful. Like you guys
We
suck.
went back with it like 3 times, and he was like, nope, still hate it. We're like, okay, I
Yeah.
guess we're not doing it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Wow. I thought you were gonna talk about there was some Club Penguin knockoff game about your penguin skiing down the mountain and actually.
That game was gas.
Was that actually a
That
game?
game was sick. Yeah.
Oh, I know the Club Penguin game. I thought
Learn
you were
to
talking
fly.
about.
There was like the upgrade
Mhm.
game, Learn to Fly, where you had to get as far as you can as a penguin.
Oh, I thought you were
Oh.
talking about the one where they're on tubes and you would race people.
Oh, maybe.
Do you guys remember
I
that
don't know.
game?
I remember
Wait.
that one.
I'm not racing people on the inner tube game.
Yeah, you were.
No. You just try to dodge stuff in the water.
Yeah, but no, not in the water. On the top of the mountain where the ski lodge was.
No, okay,
There's,
then
like,
that one.
trees.
Yeah. I remember.
And there were
now.
trees and like stuff.
Yeah,
that
you have to go off the jumps to go faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I have
I'm
no idea
getting other
what
ones.
you
I'm
are
just
talking
putting
about.
together a list on the other on River for you guys to choose from. Just
word?
so
Okay.
just so you
Oh,
guys can pick whatever one you want. There's a few people
Cool.
that are sending things in. Where'd that one go? So okay, is it fair to say that all of us are human and we all make mistakes?
No, absolutely.
100%.
So, I think, as you said, every crazy person that has done great game design, that has made it successful, they've always had dumb ideas from different things.
Oh, this
Is there
beautiful.
any experiences that you guys have that are dumb ideas that you used in the past? I know I said this about the game jam, so I want to do the same here.
I could. So
Oh.
it's not really like a dumb idea, but I guess like when I was younger, like teenage age, I guess, I used to play this game called Flife. I don't know if it's still around or if anybody knows about it. It's pretty old, but it was like Fly for Life or whatever, and you just like flew around, and it was an MMO. And you flew around and like beat stuff up. I don't know. It was cool. But one day, like I was on, and then all of a sudden, like everybody disappeared, and I'm like assuming now that like I'm older that like I got kicked from the server, like the server, some kind of like internet connection or something like that. But for me, like then I was like, where did everybody go? Oh my gosh, like nobody's here. What happened? So I took that idea, I made it into like a little story for some reason when I was in high school. And then I took that story and then I made it into like a visual novel. It was like my very first visual novel in 2017. And like the story itself is kind of interesting. Like I added like demons and stuff like that to it. But like the art back then was like trash. So I'm like currently trying to go back and like remake it, make it look like good, like make the story better because it was kind of like short. And yeah,
Gotcha.
I don't think that was what you were talking about, but
well, it's pretty close, I would assume.
I've got one.
Ooh. Sorry.
Go ahead.
We have some questions before then. If then I'll get to your story.
Cool.
First and foremost, though, I'm still adding more things to the chat thing, so don't select yours yet because there's more coming in.
Artists also just let us know which ones, you're gonna draw, and then we will do it.
Let's see. We someone wants to know what are game jams? Like just a really, really quick synopsis because we already discussed this earlier, but I don't think we gave a clear enough picture for it. And for the artists, what drawing tablets do you guys recommend? So JD, you get the game jam question. Jasmine, you can do the drawing tablets, and as well as Lexus if you want.
Sure, yeah. I really quickly, game jams are essentially like events, either virtual or I guess probably for the rest of eternity virtual, but like either in person or virtual, where you have a set period of time in which you take a game from start to finish, or as close to finish as you can get it. And so the idea is that they're just supposed to be like fun, shorter experiences for people to get together, make something, be inspired to create something, and get it to as finished of a state as possible in the allotted period of time. So the resource that we linked earlier is called itch.io, which may still be in the chat. I actually don't know how Zoom chat works, so I might just copy and paste it again.
Sure, might as well, right?
But yeah, on itch.io, that's a great resource for everyone to see like game jams that are happening virtually that you can contribute to. And the idea is it's just like an excuse to make a game. You know, it's an excuse to make a game, to take some time to dedicate to making something in a short time span with a deadline. As Andrew said earlier in the conversation, like deadlines are huge when it comes to making anything, let alone games. Like if you know you have to have something done by a certain day, like it's gonna inspire you to work on that thing. So getting involved with game jams on itch or elsewhere is a great way to just inspire you to make something.
Sweet.
Anyone else wants to add?
Yeah, another thing that I'll just chime in really quick is every year there's a global game jam that is run, that like people from all around the world enter. It's online, but there's also in-person events. There will probably be an in-person location near you wherever you are. So if you want to take advantage of the aspect that I was mentioning of meeting people, Global Game Jam is probably the best game jam to be able to do that, because you'll be able to find a physical location near you. Or if there isn't one, if you reach out in advance, you can actually coordinate with Global Game Jam to have a location set up near you, and then you can invite your friends or whoever. People will just show up because it's super popular each year, and that's one of the places where I've met the most people and gained a lot of experience just from doing Global Game Jam.
Awesome. Okay. So we put in the wrong Twitch thing. There's actually a dash, because I think someone took the domain before Tim. So I'm gonna repost that. You had your story and someone who's drawing, share your screen. I think that's where we're at now.
Are all of our choices in the river?
Yes. I think we have 3. Unless if someone else posted one that I am missing. I think so. Yeah.
I can share if you guys want. I already started on.
Somebody threw Thanos in. That's a good one.
I could do Thanos.
I could do Thanos.
Not everyone do Thanos.
Notice all of the non-programmers are like, yeah, Thanos. Or non-artists.
I'm not the artist. I'm not doing Thanos. I think Thanos is way too complicated for me.
This one was beautiful. I saw that. I was like,
I'm doing this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I apologize.
The second one.
I apologize to our anonymous requester for butchering this.
No, no. There's other people that, a few people put stuff in. I made a mistake earlier. That's okay. We all make mistakes. What was I about to say? So we're gonna be posting all these images and all these things that we're creating. We're all gonna put those up on at MassDG later, just so everyone knows. At least, okay, maybe not ours, but maybe just the artists. But we're gonna be putting that up later. So yeah, if you guys want to, there's the Twitch, not Twitch. There's the Twitter at there, and as well as hashtag MassDGYourStyle. So feel free to do that if you want to draw along or draw better than us, or probably definitely better than me personally. I don't know. Our artists are very good. Oh, we have another one. Let's see. Which one's this one?
Oh, does anyone want to answer the drawing tablets question? I don't have a drawing tablet.
Oh, you don't?
Oh, I didn't realize you didn't have one. My fault.
No, that's fine. I just draw on my laptop screen.
Oh, okay, that's why.
We have another submission. Take a peek at it.
That's cute.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Last interruption.
Yeah, so tablets. So for me, I like cheap stuff. I don't want to spend like $1,000 on a drawing tablet. So for me, I've been like going to like the cheaper like Chinese brands for display tablets. My first one was an Uji, UGEE. It was pretty good, actually. I would recommend that brand. That brand was pretty good. And then I went on to, because I wanted something bigger, so I got an Alpha Wise, and that one was, I don't know if I would really recommend that one because the color and stuff was off, and it was like kind of hard to like adjust it properly to like the screen and stuff like that. So I wouldn't recommend Alpha Wise. And then I had to get like another one to be like more portable so that I can take to school. So this one I have is an Artisol, and I'd recommend it. It's pretty cool. But there's also other brands like XP Pen, I think, and there's another like really big Chinese brand that's like really affordable, and I, for some reason, I'm drawing a blank right now. It's gonna come back to me. I'll just yell it out randomly. Let me just try to look it up.
All right.
God,
I'm gonna try to do the latest one that you posted.
Yeah, I'm doing that one too.
I think we have enough people for each of these. I hopefully. I mean, I'm scared. I'm scared to draw one myself. I know I drew the last one, but I don't want to mess up so badly.
The brand that I was thinking of was Huion.
Huion.
Oh, I've heard of that
Huion
one.
tablets. Okay.
Yeah, I heard they're like really great.
I also hear that too. So JD, how are we looking on time? I know you're in charge of that.
Oh, we're about to hit like 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are more questions, or we could probably stay until like 3:45-ish.
3:45, 4 o'clock-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So I know you guys are very busy. Thank you for taking out your time for the stream as it is.
No, of course, happy to do it. Thank all of you. Thanks everyone for tuning in and hitting us with questions and stuff. I think at the end we'll all drop our Twitters or something so you guys can follow us. And if you have any other questions, you can DM us. We'll go through again at the end who we all are and what we do for anyone that missed it at the beginning. Yeah, like Jacob said, like we want to be here as a resource to you guys. We want to be here to help you on your journeys. And yeah, keep hitting us with questions if we have a little bit more time. No dumb questions, once again.
Were there any other questions that got sent in earlier that we haven't gotten to yet, like sent in beforehand?
I'm sorry. I was reading someone's message. Please. Please.
I was just saying, were there any other messages that got sent in like before we started?
Oh, that's a good question.
That we haven't gotten to yet.
I haven't looked at this list in a while. Let's see. We answered the question about struggles game development. We talked about 3D game development, main coding languages, common isolation processes, showcasing different games. We didn't do because, well, we talked about our individual games. What's the best way to? And we talked about getting overwhelmed. Yeah, we covered all the ones that for everyone that came in today. That's sent. If anyone else has any other questions, please PM me. I'm happy to. And if no one knows how to do that as well, that's okay.
Yeah, you can just drop it in the chat period. That works as well.
I can
Thanos,
I can
way,
pull
guys,
some questions from my other sheet too.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Let's see. Do you want to answer a programming, art, or design question?
Maybe design?
Design?
That'd be fun.
Let's see.
Sorry, I'm drawing Thanos, and it's
yeah.
just horrendous.
Oh no. All right, so here's one. An ideal step in the game design and development behind the scenes towards game engine in production. So they want to know what's behind the scenes, what it's like to be developing. So I guess you can kind of talk about what your role is as where you are in your as you are as was it pork bun, right? Isn't that your pork dumplings?
Pork dumplings.
Pork dumplings. Forgot. Oh yeah, I didn't explain this earlier. To everyone that's tuning in, we have 5 teams. I think 5 teams. 4 teams. We have 4 teams that are broken up from the selected individuals that are attending our summer innovation program. So throughout these different live streams, you'll meet and interact with everyone else. This is Team Pork Dumpling. Amazing name. Don't know where. There's a funny story that came up with it. I don't remember it. That's fine. Yeah, so we'll have a different group in for next week. Yeah. Cool. Fun.
What was the question we're on again? I forgot.
I don't remember. Yes. I had it here.
Oh, like behind the scenes. Or
Behind the
like
scenes of game. You know.
Right. Yeah. If you're working on a game project and you feel like it's really messy and like barely held together and like falling apart all over the place, that's totally fine because that is exactly how it is always for everyone. Like that was not something that I realized until far too late, and I was like very self-conscious starting out on projects where like I felt like everything was a mess and didn't work and I wasn't doing things perfectly, and that's totally fine because that's how games get made. And once you realize that, it's a lot easier to keep going on a project and take the time to finish something so that you improve yourself.
Nice. We also have another one here. I just saw that really caught my eye here. So creating original work, how to better manage time on a tight schedule without losing motivation or interest.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, very good question.
When you're passionate about a project, it is very easy to overwork yourself, and you have to literally train yourself to take breaks. I fall victim to that all the time when I work on my own stuff. Because like if you just have a day where you're at home, working on my games has always been like the default. Like that is what I do in my free time, and partly just because that's how much I enjoy it. But you know, another big part of it is just because I'm like, well, I'm home. Like if I'm not working on it, then I'm wasting my time. But you will come to realize, especially as you get older and as you join this this field, if you do choose, you know, however much you step into it, you'll learn that, like, you know, to step away from the code and to step away from the computer and to like take breaks, and like even if like you technically do have more time to work on the thing that day, that like you need to take care of yourself and be like, I've worked on this for 5-6 hours today, I got something done, so I'm finished with it for now. Because if you overwork yourself, then you're going to do it again the next day and the next day, and then you're going to completely fall apart. So yeah, it's easy to mistake, you know, if it's something that you, especially like an indie project that's just something that you do at home, it's very easy to kind of like the line between that and your free time kind of starts to blend. So just kind of be careful of that like work and life separation that needs to happen, because it's going to be for your own good, and once you do it, you'll be much happier.
I guess I'll chime in as somebody who kind of has the opposite problem. Where
I was going to do that too.
Yeah, like where like rather than like getting too sucked in things, like I have a hard time sitting down and starting to do stuff. It's the same way like setting deadlines to finish stuff, like set like a baseline of like I'm gonna do X number of hours of work on this like each week or each day or whatever. Like I'm gonna work on this project for at least 2 hours every day, or I'm gonna work on this project for at least 10 hours every week. And you can like if you're in a situation like Jack where like you are kind of like burning yourself out because you can't put your project down, you can do that in reverse where like I'm not going to work on this for more than X hours. Like setting rules for yourself is a great substitute for having self-discipline because self-discipline doesn't really exist.
Yeah, I was gonna chime in also as somebody who has kind of the opposite problem, um, of not really having time or having trouble starting things. Um, I try to do it where like just try not to have like a 0% day. Do you know what I mean? Like just
Mm.
and because for me it's like it's hard to even like say like definitely I'm gonna have like 9 or 10 hours this week on this one thing because stuff comes up. And for those of you that can do that, definitely do that because it's an incredible way to keep yourself like engaged in whatever you're doing. For me though, it's very much like I I just try to like say, okay, like I will do like one thing today. Like even if I sit down and like open Unity or whatever, or I write one line of the script I'm working on, or I make one piece of music or something like that. You know what I mean? Like even if it's not connected to anything in particular, or just the fact that I stayed creative and did something makes me kind of like happy and feel like I did something good. Obviously, it's not like if you're trying to get something like done, then the deadlines are the best way to do it for sure. But for me, like just saying that I did something is really helpful. Also,
Yeah,
a lot
I
of things.
totally agree with that. Like have like not having 0 days is really important. Like just even if it's like the smallest thing, like you like change the name of something that like you've been meaning to get around to renaming to something else. Like just doing anything, it helps keep you engaged with your project.
Gotcha.
Literally opening Unity. Like I'm not kidding. Like sometimes I'll just open Unity and be like, or whatever I'm working in, and be like, all right, it's today. I did it. Like I did something today. Like, and you need that sometimes. Like, yeah.
Um, Sweet. So let's see. Let's change the screen to someone else who's working on a different character. Um, I will set a timer. Let's do 2 minutes, 3 minutes for then we'll swap so we get through everybody. I
Cool.
think that works. And then we have another question, which is there an average amount of people working on a game together, or what is the recommended amount of people for a game? So I would say answer what's the average amount of people for SIP, and what's the recommended amount of people for a game? Then I guess you can break that into AAA and not AAA.
Yeah. So for SIP, we have teams of 6 going right now, and for most SIP years, it's been something similar to that, like 5 or 6 kids a team. But really, it like team sizes all over the place. Like you have obviously solo devs, you have people in teams of 3 or 5 or 7. You have small time studios that are like 20 to 30 people. You have startup, like big studios that might be like 50 people. And then you get into the AAAs, it's hundreds of people working on games like Call of Duty and forklift simulator, sure, and whatever
Fork
else.
knife.
So yeah, it's kind of all over the place, and it just depends on the scope of your project.
Yeah, I'd say it really comes down to like who do you know, like what kind of people are working on this, because like obviously like you can't have a 2-person team if both of the people are programmers. You need somebody on there to do art. And it depends on what you're making, and it depends on how long you want to be making it. And that's something that you should have in mind when you're forming your team, is like how long do you want to spend on this project? Because part of a team is that people might come and go. They might not be committed to working on the project for an indefinite amount of time. So that's something you have to factor in when you're figuring out who you want to be working with.
All right. We have another question. This is probably more for the design and programmers. Have you ever used Fiverr or any other type of hiring type of software to help you get through things? I'm assuming that's because I'm saying that more towards the designers and programmers because we can't do art. So do you have any personal projects or anything that you might have used Fiverr or something else?
I actually did use Fiverr once. And so basically the project I was working as a sound designer. I also do sound and music, by the way. Sorry, I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but so I was working as a sound designer for a game with a club that I'm engaged with in school. And we just had like this really pernicious problem. Like there was just like a bug that we could not figure out what to do. And like the semester had ended and people really weren't super engaged in it anymore. And at the time, like I didn't have the programming knowledge that I even have now to be able to address the project problem myself.
Swap streams.
And so I changed I'm sorry, I just got totally sidetracked. I went to you're all good. I went to Fiverr like once for help with this problem, and it's really hit or miss. Like I didn't end up finding anyone that actually helped me with the problem. Like they weren't able to fix the issue, and that could have just been because of my issue. But you know, it's hit or miss. I would say it's better in general to go to people that you trust to be able to help you do the thing that you need to get done. But if you have no other option, it could be useful. Don't pay for anything before they give you a product. Also, if you're going to use Fiverr, absolutely do not give them any money until they actually fix your problem, or don't fix your problem. Because you don't want, the worst thing you want is to be like out $20 and also still have the issue that you had before. But that was my experience with Fiverr. Maybe other people have a different one.
So I was gonna say, in terms of hiring people to like do your art, if you're if you're a programmer and you need somebody else to do your art, a great option for that is just like if you follow artists on Twitter and if they've got their commissions open, those people are always happy to take up projects and stuff like that. Maybe not for like long-term like game development, but you know, I'm on Twitter and I follow a lot of artists, and I see other developers like using those artists, hiring them, commissioning them to make like, you know, character artwork or like titled like a poster artwork or something like that. So that's great for like promotional stuff if you need something quick, like you're going to an event and you want like a nice poster to hang up with art of your game and your characters and stuff like that. And if it's something that you either can't do yourself or you don't have the time to do yourself, it's a good option.
Sweet. I just want to tell, so I don't know if this is possible for the artist, but maybe what we can do is when you finish drawing the or sketching or whatever you're doing for whichever character you're doing, add sign your, you know, do signature, whatever you want to do. We can send it to the people that requested it as a little gift for coming to the stream for everyone that requested it. I think that'd be a pretty fun thing. And if you do want it, please just PM me wherever it is, and we'll give it to you. And it's a little thank you for coming to the stream. And yeah.
I'll only be giving out one copy of my Sephiroth, so get on that now if you're interested. I'll sign
Bidding
it.
starts at 1,200.
No, they'll all be free. That's either for the your own character or for the Sephiroth, whatever. If you're interested, just please PM me or the individuals here. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I just finished my drawing for one of the characters that was sent
Sweet.
in.
So we're gonna swap to you then,
Yeah.
Andrew, because the timer is about to go off anyways. And anyone that hasn't filled out the form, please do. It's a feedback form for us, so we can help improve your experience for next time. So please
That's
fill it out.
actually cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
All right, Andrew.
I really like the smile and the eyes on this one. So
I did mine too, actually. If anyone's interested in seeing that.
yeah, let's see it.
So send me that at some point, Andrew,
Yeah, I'll send that to you right now.
so I can.
So this is my Thanos.
Oh boy.
So I decided to
Oh my God.
switch up the color palette this time, and I went with the more on type of situation. Chin was really what I was trying to capture the most. It ended up looking like an Abe Lincoln beard, but it's cool. It was artistic design. But yeah. So bidding starts at 1,200 for this one. I'll sign it.
I like your sheer
There you go.
refusal to use the fill tool.
Yep.
Just your commitment to color everything on your
Wait, dude,
own.
there's a
Yes,
fill
there's
tool.
a fill tool. It's a little
Oh
paint
my
bucket next to the A.
God.
There's a little paint bucket next to the A.
Oh,
Or to the
Oh
left.
my God.
Left.
Is this it?
More. No. That one.
Ooh,
Yeah.
What? Hold on a minute, bro. Bro.
How many sketches have we done in
That's two.
brainstorming?
Three.
Right?
Yeah, no, this took a couple of tries. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh no. I think we might want to give that to Monty and he'll put up on his fridge.
If Monty, I really want a piece of my art to end up on Monty's fridge at some point.
Oh no.
I'll share mine.
Sure.
I finished. I did.
Let me change my city.
I also did this character.
Okay.
Which I don't
Ooh.
have a style that I could draw her in. So I just copied the actual art. I copied, but this is like when you have a dream and you see someone and you're like, who it is, but it doesn't look like them. Something's a little wrong. Like, you know who that is.
Whoever
Somebody
drew
on the
this
street
character-
that looks like your best friend, but it's like not him when you touch him on the shoulder.
By the way, whoever drew this character's sick. I did not draw it because I didn't want to have to live up to that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
either.
It's like
That
you
is
go
a
to
really,
the,
really good
you
drawing.
go to the grocery store and you're like, Mom, can we get some hyphen at the store? And she's like, we have hyphen at home, honey, and this is the hyphen at home.
Oh, that's so
stuff.
good. That's so good.
I'm also like attempting the other character.
The
but I
other,
guess,
other
like,
one or the
nobody-
other one?
Whatever
Exactly.
one nobody has shown yet.
The most recent
Monkey.
one. That one. I don't know the name of that one. I don't know if that character actually has a name.
Yes, I am attempting. This isn't my normal thing, so if it turns out terrible, I apologize.
Well, it'll never live up to mine, but that's fine. Greatness really only comes once a generation, so.
So you want to stream that?
Yeah, sure.
Ooh.
Oh, this is on fire already.
Yeah.
Also, you guys can't hear my music, right?
No.
No.
Okay, good.
But what are you listening to, though? Do I
I'm
want to
lis-
hear it?
I don't know.
Is it lo-fi?
No. I'm listening to a J-pop group called Fakey.
Ooh, word, okay.
So only 5 people have filled out the form. So if you haven't filled out the form yet, please do. And if you want your art sketch sent to you from one of our artists, please let me know as well. And also, we won't put up any of your characters that you sent in up on Twitter or anything unless you want us to. Yes. I'm also putting that in chat in case anyone is away from their computer.
I'm probably butchering this character. I'm sorry. I'm kind of confused about what's going on in this area, but it's cool.
I'm definitely butchering mine to some degree, but we're gonna make it work.
I believe.
Were there any other questions?
Not that I have other ones from my other list, but currently we don't have any questions from anyone in the chat.
Can we get some people to type in what their favorite games are?
That is
Ooh.
yes.
Ooh, yeah.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, favorite games in the chat, 100%.
Titanfall 2,
Hey.
Night in the Woods.
Good choice. Good choice.
Both great.
Witcher 3, good choice.
I picked that one up. I have not had a real chance to play it yet.
My
Oh,
own.
Sly Cooper.
That's mine.
There we go.
Oh,
I'm pretty
classic.
old for that.
Hollow Knight. Night in the
Hollow
Oh, nice,
Knight.
sick.
anyone ever played Putt Putt Saves the Zoo?
I have
No,
not.
but I'm interested.
No, I was more of a jumpstart kid.
I don't know what that is.
Have you played Pajama Sam?
No.
Pajama Sam. Of course, I played Pajama Sam.
Pajama Sam was a classic. I remember Pajama Sam.
It's the same. It's the same developers as Putt Putt is the same developers as Pajama Sam.
Oh, that's
Humongous game. So they had Pajama Sam, they had Putt Putt, they had Spy Fox, they had Freddy Fish, all classics.
I remember Freddy Fish. Yeah, that was a classic. Yeah, Titanfall 2 was a good game. That was,
Yeah, it
I played
was.
the original Titanfall 2. The
I
original
haven't played-
Titanfall also.
I haven't played much of either of them, but like I watched a Let's Play of the campaign for Titanfall 2, and it looked like one of the best like first-person shooter campaigns I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Did anybody here play Brink?
I played some Brink on the Xbox 360.
Brink is like the lost ancestor to Titanfall.
Literally.
Like nobody knows that it exists.
Yeah, I remember that game coming out, but I don't think I knew anybody that had bought it.
And
Yeah,
anyone play
It bombed
Zoom
pretty hard, but it was fun. I liked it.
Zoom I remember Zoom dude.
Do
These
kids
games
these
are
days
coming out of the
still play
woodwork.
Zoom
I started like a Webkins account like one day like last year just like for fun because it had been so long. And I unfortunately
God.
never went back, but I should because that game is really fun.
What was that game that you would play in Wegmans? In Wegmans, in Webkins.
Wegmans.
Wegmans.
Where,
Wegmans.
Out of the market.
yeah. What was the game in Webkins where like you'd have to like you would go back every day and you'd like mine for jewels and shit? That was really
Oh
like fun.
yes.
I was
I
like
have no
addicted to that.
I did not do Webkins. I did not do Neopets.
I never did
I
Neopets.
never Neopets.
I did Adventure Quest. If anyone knows
Yeah,
that
I
one.
know
Yes.
that.
no, but you do Pop Tropica.
Yeah. Andrew is not
Andrew,
a
you don't
fan.
like Pop Tropica? No, it's okay. I didn't play it either. So I played Raft Wars on Miniclip.
We were
There you
just
go.
talking about that game.
Raft Wars was actually one of our
Oh,
inspirations
yeah.
for a game that we ended up trashing.
Yeah.
it got a lot farther than some of our other ideas.
That's true. That is true.
It was close.
That is true.
Also, for those that are interested, for the stream viewers, I'm going to be posting another form. I know it's just called form. It has other numbers at the end of it. This is if you would like to actually become a beta tester for any of the games that are coming out between all 4 different teams. So that is a total of 4 different playtestable games that will all be released out on the App Store, either for Android or Apple. Just let that stuff get put in. And someone move to the different stream. I'm going to put that one in. So if anyone's interested, I'm putting that form as well. There will be an email going out to everybody as well. And for those that have requested, I will also email you individually your art piece from our artists. Cool. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I did finish my Minecraft and stuff. By the way.
There we go.
There it is. There it is. Honestly, I'm with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Get that guy on the Civ server.
This guy's gonna win Minecraft Hunger Games for sure.
Dude,
I think so.
Minecraft Sephiroth. Yeah, we only have like a couple of minutes left, so I think maybe we'll just go through again quickly and just let you guys know who we are for anyone that didn't hear us at the beginning. What we do, we'll drop our Twitters in the Zoom chat for anyone that wants to follow us, follow our development. And yeah, thank you guys. Does that work, Jacob? Is that cool?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming.
I also did finish this character. Whoever requested this one.
Nice.
Love
That's a good
That's
catch up.
sick.
Awesome.
Also,
wait,
whoever did
is that-
it, thank you
that-
for requesting catch up because that's a great show.
Where's that from? I don't know actually where that's
From
from.
the new She-Ra show on Netflix, which just finished.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's a good one. Yeah. I think once you guys are done individually doing stuff, I'm gonna actually allow all of our friends here that joined in. I'm gonna allow them to unmute themselves if they wish to talk or do anything, and then we can end the stream there.
Cool.
Does that work for you
Yeah,
guys?
great.
If they
Yeah, sure.
have any personal questions, if they want to talk at all, or they can just head out after you guys are done.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
Sweet. So you guys do your thing, and then let me know when you're all set.
Yeah, sure. So I'll start again only because we before we came into the stream we've had the problem where like one person will start talking and then another person will start talking and then like nobody talks. It's like everyone's like, what's going on? So I'll start again quickly. I'm JD. I go to Brown University. I'm a rising senior studying political science and modern culture and media. I'm primarily a designer, writer, and musician / sound designer, and secondarily a programmer. And I'm the producer and designer. And I'll pass it to Jasmine.
I'm Jasmine. I study computer science and game dev at WPI, and I do programming and art, so both 2D and 3D. Yeah, and I'll pass it off to Jack.
I'm Jack. I go to Framingham State University. I do computer science there. I'm into programming and art. So I do both of those things for our team here at SIP, and I will pass it off to Sam.
Oh, I am Sam. I am a rising senior at Clark University. I'm studying computer science, and I am a fully programmer for the team. As you might have noticed, I'm not. Thank God I'm not one of the artists. And I will pass it off to Lexi.
Hey, I'm Alexis. I am a senior at Becker College. I study interactive media design with concentration in game art. I am primarily a 2D artist. I also like dabble in 3D. Yeah, and Andrew.
Yeah, I'm Andrew. I'm a rising senior at Northeastern University in Boston. I study computer science game development, and I'm the lead programmer and build manager for the team. Follow me on Twitter. You won't regret it because I almost never post stuff. So it's a free follow. It doesn't hurt you at all.
Yeah, same here. I'll post my Twitter, but you feel free to follow it. Don't expect a lot of content.
My Twitter was something very different until about a week ago. Now,
we had to
and now
start
it's
that
my
one.
game Twitter.
Oh,
The
no.
original JD Twitter back.
Oh, boy. Scaring me, JD.
I already miss it.
It was something. Y'all can get access to the burner Twitter and we become
No,
friends. Close enough.
I think I have everyone's names down that wanted me to send them anything, but one more time, if you want any piece of art from any of the things, please just contact me really fast on the thing, or email if you don't want to even talk on the Zoom, and I'll send it over to you. Just message me as fast because I just want to make sure I got it done. Everyone that wanted. Sweet. Did everyone go or? Everyone went. Okay. So I guess I started, so I guess I'll finish too. My name is Jacob Siegel. I am turning into a senior at Becker College. I am a game designer as well as doing marketing. So that's what I do. Fun. And I am the one that's in charge of you guys and the Game Dev Explorer program. So any questions, always feel free to contact me on my email. I'll always answer. There's no doubt about it. No stupid questions at all. So yeah, that's the end of this. If you wish, you can stay and quickly talk to some of our members. I'll unmute you guys if you wish to speak with words. Yeah, but they have to go in a few minutes as well because they have to get back to work. I'm sure Monty is missing them already.
Monty.
So yeah, thank you very much for coming. If you guys wish to leave, you can just leave. That's the red button if you don't know how Zoom works.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks so much,
Thank
guys.
you
Thank
very
you
much.
for coming.
So much for coming.
Really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
For sure.
And you can now unmute yourselves if you wish. Yep. Okay. I knew I missed someone that wanted something. I'd assume. So, guys, at 4:02, I think you guys could probably head out.
Sure.
Thank you
All right.
so very much, team Pork Dumpling.
Fuck dumplings.
Pork Dumplings for helping us out. Who I think will you guys be around to me or even want to potentially do another live stream in the future after other groups go, if that's a thing that interests you? Because you guys seem to have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, this was pretty fun.
Yeah, I had a good time. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. Sweet. Yeah. So yeah. Awesome.
So Jacob, do the stuff that we drew, like the OCs that we drew, do we just send those to you?
Yeah,
on,
send those to me. If you wish to, I haven't received anyone's permission to put their own characters up on Twitters and stuff like that. So don't post theirs on your Twitter. If you want to do your own art thing that you did on Twitter, go ahead. So, but if you like on your personal, if you want to send the character art that you drew for the stream to the Math Digi one, go ahead. That was a lot of words that I just said.
Yeah, I'm gonna
So
put up
just-
my shit on Twitter, guys. Make sure you like it.
I'll like
Repost it.
Your new JD Twitter is.
Oh, okay,
Twitter.
I see it in here.
There's got to be moments of greatness in the new JD Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, I got a Monty invite thingy. That was Sam. Thank you.
Right.
Are you the only one that did hyphen, Sam? Did anyone else do hyphen? That was the purple
I think
thing.
Yeah, someone else did. Did
Okay.
Jack do?
Yes, I was just about to. So do you want me to send it in River or?
River. Just PM me on River. Because we needed to get we did Thanos, Katra, hyphen, and
I did the sweatshirt girl. I don't know if there was a name for it.
that was hyphen. And then we had the
the one with
the other one, the multicolor.
multicolored sweatshirt.
the multi. You remember the cat?
No.
No, the person.
Oh, the person. Oh,
Yeah.
the second
there was no
one.
name for that one. It was just drawing.
Okay, yeah, I did that one too. Trying to finish it up.
Okay.
Yeah, next time if we come back around, maybe it would be cool to do like our dev process. I don't really know how far along we'll be at that point, but like if
Yeah.
we're actually on stream developing / making things happen and answering questions in the meantime, that could be kind of fun, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Having good banter.
Yeah, no, I think everyone enjoyed your banter. I don't know if you guys saw the form, but of all 10 responses that we got, all of them said they had fun.
There we go.
Let's
Yay.
go.
Will there be a way for us to see the feedback later or not?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that'd be
I
useful.
I don't know how I'm going to share that to you, but I will share it to you. Do you want like the personal feedback or you just want the whole thing?
Give us all of it. We might as well, right?
Sure. River, or do you prefer Google Meet thing?
Whatever's
Just put it in
fine.
River.
Okay. I don't know how Google Meet works, to tell you the truth.
We don't either, really, to be honest. Well,
All right.
We only do as Monty tells us.
that's what I like to hear because it's so
The
true.
good Monty commands.
It's so true, though.
all right.
All right.
Should we siphon off?
Yeah, you guys can siphon off, or if you want to keep staying here and talk, so you don't have to do work. I don't want to take up your time. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob.
for the rest of
Yeah,
guys
thank
that are
you.
here.
Thank you.
All right.
If y'all have any questions,
Thank you all for
hit us
coming.
all up on Twitter. For the three of you that are still here, we're totally willing to answer any questions in any capacity.
Yeah,
Or
for
email
sure.
me or whatever.
Or email Jacob, of course, as well.
All right.
Don't give up on your dreams. Just make games and have
I'll let
fun.
you dream,
Yeah.
but
Don't let your dreams be memes.
is that an old meme now? For like, would these
What?
kids know about that meme? Or is
I
that,
have no
like,
idea.
About which meme?
I'm sure they know that meme.
the
I mean,
Shia
we're
LaBeouf just
old.
do it?
Oh,
Oh.
yes.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
that old.
Well,
It's only like a couple years old.
it's high school into college, junior
Yeah,
high
true.
school,
Okay.
college
I-
students.
I
and
feel
even
like that
parents.
was that was high school though. Like
Oh.
my high school.
Oh, your high school. Was
Yeah.
that a junior? I mean, I'm a senior now. That was a junior year.
I don't even remember.
Year.
bro.
I don't.
I'm dating myself. Oh my god.
This is
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh, this is like 2015 apparently.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that was 5 years ago.
5
All
years
right.
ago.
Time
I
means
feel old
nothing to me
officially.
anymore.
Okay.
You feel old. I'm older than you.
All right. Thanks, Jacob. We'll